afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Be a Victor, Not a Victim. I'm very happy to present Abby Kohut, known in the job search world as Absolute Abby, because she tells the absolute truth about job search. In the past 26 years, she's held corporate recruiting positions in a variety of industries and is responsible for helping 10,000 people get hired. She was selected as one of the top 100 websites for your career by Forbes, and she teaches candidates the absolute truth on her website, absoluteabby.com. She is also a top career coach and recruiter and is one of the top 100 influential people online. Since 2012, she's been on a mission to help 1 million job seekers, and today she's helping us. So thank you, Abby.
You're welcome. I'm going and muting everybody, Debbie, because we're hearing some background noise. Okay.
Okay.
So hang on a second. I'm just gonna move this over so it's out of my way. Thank you guys for coming. I'm really excited to meet some of you that I have not met before, and to kind of help you get through this crazy time. Very crazy time. Even crazier yesterday. But anyway, I digress. So let me get this into the right mode. So this is me. My name is Abby Kohut. A lot of you on the call might know me, but those of you that don't, Debbie just read my formal profile, but what it's all about is that I've been a recruiter for a long time, and my biggest concern is that as a recruiter, I can't tell you the absolute truth about the reason why you're not getting the job. And that started to frustrate me about 9 years ago, or sorry, no, longer, 11 years ago. And that's when I started my website, which is called absoluteabby.com. And on my website, I'm going to teach you all sorts of truths about why people aren't getting jobs, and lots of little tidbits and lots of little secrets. And that's usually what I talk about. But today we're not going to be talking about that topic in particular. We're going to be talking about COVID-19 and your job search now. So I'm going to have lots of little tips and secrets, but my website's got a lot more. So go check those out. I am on this mission to help 1 million job seekers. And one of the things that I did that makes me a little bit different than other people is I drove around the country in this RV for 3.5 years, and these are the states that I visited. When I say I drove around the country, I literally did that 3.5 times, and it was a great adventure, and I got to meet lots and lots of people, but it really helped me understand that there's a lot of people out there that are suffering, and this year I got to join the group. So can I put more people on mute, Debbie? Okay. So this year I got to join the group of you that are going through something, and I will tell you about that in a minute. Before we get going, hopefully you saw that I was going to give you all a resource guide. It's a 26-page resource guide. I'm going to tell you how to get it at the end. Or actually, I'm going to tell you right now. I'll tell you how to get it now, but let me tell you what's in it so you know why you should get it. Everybody always wants my slides, and I don't like to give out my slides. So this is all the information on these slides is actually in the resource guide. The way this presentation came about is I went to the slides and I turned them into this presentation. I mean, I went to the guide, the resource guide, and I turned everything in there into a presentation. So that's why everything in there is in there. There is a website in that resource guide that lists companies that are hiring, freezing, or doing layoffs. There's stuff for self-employed and consultants. I'm one of those people. So there's good stuff in there for you. There are networking templates. There's a bunch of different sites. There's probably about 30 different sites in there for work at home. My favorite work at home site is called Virtual Vocations. I've used it myself, and I feel like that's the best one out there. You have to pay a little bit of money to join to get the job listings, but I think it's well worth it for that particular site. Also, there's something in there about how to deal with friends and relatives, and plenty of stuff about volunteering. There's motivational quotes and a lot more. So if you want to get that guide right now, just send an email to join@absolutelyabby.com and it will bounce back to you. It's an auto reply. If you don't want to do it now, you can do it at the end, or you can do it tomorrow. Okay. So what have I been up to during COVID? I thought this was kind of interesting because I too was a job seeker this year. And I know when you look at people like me that are out there speaking, you think that we have this fancy life and nothing is wrong. But this year I had 5 years of no income, and it was really difficult to say the least. Fortunately, I've recovered and I'm back in good shape now. But I want to talk to you about what happened during those times, because what happened to me is what I'm going to teach you about today. So in April, I was a contract recruiter working for a pharmaceutical company, making lots of money, and all was well. And in mid-April, I think, or maybe it was March, I don't remember what month it was, but all of a sudden I had 0 jobs to fill. And when a recruiter has 0 jobs to fill, it's like being laid off. Without being laid off, I was laid off. And so the first month, I think I spent being depressed. So I think May, I really don't know what I did except eat and watch TV. I really can't think. I think I was thinking maybe I'll get my job back in June. So I'll just take the month off. I think that's probably what was going through my mind. And when that didn't happen, in June, the first week of June, I saw an opportunity on LinkedIn to do contract recruiting for 1 week. And I decided to take that job. And it was minimum wage. And I haven't earned minimum wage since college, but I decided to do this contract recruiting job to hire sales reps to sell COVID-19 masks and gloves and gowns, etc., to hospitals and doctors. And I thought, let me recruit the sales reps. It'll be fun, and maybe I can leverage this and get something else in the future. Well, what happened was at the end of the week, I decided to hire myself to do sales because I thought I was selling this great opportunity and telling people how much money they could make. And I thought, why don't I try it? I got nothing to lose. So I did. I tried it. And what I discovered is that I don't like sales. But I was able to leverage that opportunity into other things down the road. And I'm going to tell you about this at the end. And I'm going to also tell you that you can be a part of this thing. So please do not hang up at the end. You got to hear this at the end. Okay. So that's what I've been up to during COVID. While I was unemployed, I was doing Zoom presentations all over the country. I had really taken the last year off to concentrate on recruiting, but during COVID, I really spent the first 5, 6 months doing these presentations, this exact presentation, all across the country. So what I want you guys to know is that there are job search groups meeting everywhere, and you should not focus only on job search groups in New Jersey. There's no reason to only go to job search groups in New Jersey. You'll meet other speakers that have other ideas. You might even meet people that can give you leads in New Jersey. So don't only go to groups here. Okay, so these are things that I had to struggle with during COVID-19, and I'm sure you're struggling with as well. There are a lot of things that we can't control about the current pandemic, and a lot of other things that are going on in the world we can't control. So you can't control whether other people follow the rules of social distancing. You can't control people's actions. You can't predict what's going to happen with COVID or with many other things. Let's see. You can't control how others react. You can't control how long the pandemic is going to last, and you certainly can't control the amount of toilet paper in the store. But what you can control is your positive attitude, whether you follow CDC's recommendations, whether you social distance, whether you wear a mask or not, whether you watch the news or not, whether you are on social media or not, and whether you're kind and graceful. And similar kinds of things happen with the job search process, because when you're looking for a job, there's so much that you can't control. Like if you said to me, I really want to find a job by March, I could say that's great, but you really can't control whether that's going to happen. You can't control how many interviews you're going to get. You can't control when that offer is going to come. There's a lot about the job search process you cannot control. However, there are a lot of things that you can control. So you should focus on things you can control. And we're going to talk about a lot of those things today. So one of those things that you can control is how many networking events you go to. Another thing is how many people you reach out to on LinkedIn and ask for virtual coffee. Another thing is how many connections you have on LinkedIn. You can control that for sure. So just focus on things you can control. You can also control whether you're a good interviewer because you can get interview training and get better at it. Just focus on the things you can control. It will make you less crazy. All right. Okay. So one of the things that people always ask me during the pandemic is, how do I figure out who's actually hiring now versus there used to be a lot of jobs up there that were old jobs that were up from last February and March that weren't really being filled. But these phrases are good phrases to put into the job search. When you're in Indeed, for example, you can put in currently hiring, hiring now, not on hold, filling immediately, or immediate need. And notice that there are quotes around the phrases. That's on purpose. The quotes around phrases keep words in order and together. So if you put currently hiring without the quotes, you're going to get jobs that have the word hiring in them and jobs that have the word currently in them. What you want is jobs that have the word currently hiring. So hopefully that helps. Okay. So another thing that I want to talk to you about is Indeed, because there's a little secret that I want to teach you that I don't think you know that's going to dramatically help you with Indeed. And before we do that, I want to ask you to tell me, when you have jobs sent to you by Indeed, how many of you think that a lot of those jobs are junk? Can you raise your hand if you're getting junk? I can't see all of you, but I can see 2 of you out of 3. Nope, I see 3 out of 3 have raised their hands that they're getting junk from Indeed. So I know I'm talking to the right people. So let me tell you how to not get junk from Indeed anymore. Okay, this is the Indeed screen, and so if you normally put in administrative assistant and you put in a zip code. So I did this one day with a group in Chicago. And so this is the 60527 zip code. And once you do administrative assistant and the zip code, you get to this screen. You can try it later. This is exactly where you're going to get to. Okay. And when you do this, notice the first job for administrative assistant in 60527 that came up was customer support analyst. Now, I don't know about any of you, but I'm pretty sure that a customer support analyst is not an administrative assistant. And that is the very first job that came up in the search, AKA this is junk. So if you look on the top right, I have an arrow pointing up towards the advanced job search. You all see that? If you click on the advanced job search, which you don't have on the first screen, if you click on it, because it's on the second screen, when you do that, this is the screen that you get. And I'm guessing most of you have never seen this before in your life. I don't know why Indeed hides this from everybody. It makes no sense to me. But anyway, this is the screen. And what you can do here is you can put the phrase currently seeking in the box if you want. You don't have to put it there, but you could. And then down at the bottom, it says with these words in the title. And you put in administrative assistant in quotes. Before, when we didn't have administrative assistant in quotes, it was pulling up jobs that had administrative and jobs that had assistant. But and think of all the jobs that have the word assistant in them. So that's why customer support analyst was pulled up, because it probably has the word administrative in it, and it probably has the word assistant in it. So putting the quotes around administrative assistant and putting it in with these words in the title and then putting in currently seeking within this exact phrase box. Then when you hit a search on that, this is the first page. And so these are just two of the jobs that were there, but I went and I did like 3 or 4 pages and I looked, and all of them were administrative assistants near this zip code. So this works like a charm. So this will help you not get junk from Indeed anymore. And if you think about it this way, just keep remembering to put the quotes around things. It'll make all of your searches much, much better. Another thing that I want to mention is titles. So let's say you are an administrative assistant. That's not the only title that people are called when they do this work. So they have been called secretaries, they've been called executive assistants. So you want to be searching on all of the different titles that relate to what you're looking for. And you want to set up alerts for every single one of those titles. Okay. All right. Next thing that's really important in 2021 and was also really, really important in 2020 is to refresh your resume. Please, please, please have your resume posted on Indeed, but also on ZipRecruiter. A lot of you don't know about ZipRecruiter. It is my website of choice. Right now, I am a recruiter, a current recruiter. It is the website that I use mostly in addition to LinkedIn. I post jobs on LinkedIn. I post jobs on ZipRecruiter. And if you only post your resume on Indeed, I'm never going to find you. But if you put it on ZipRecruiter, I will find you. So I would put it on both. And the next thing I would tell you is that it's really important to refresh your resume. What that means is taking it down and putting it back up. And I would do this every single Sunday. So take it down, put it back up. You don't even have to change anything about it on most sites. Some sites you have to change a character. So just take a word off and then put it back, and that's how you refresh your resume. And I would do this on every site that you're on if you are on multiple sites, but definitely Indeed and definitely Zip. So I say here you must send cover letters, and it's really not must. It's just I really highly recommend that you do this. I can tell you that now I get about 200 resumes every time I post an ad. And I get out of 200 resumes, 1 or 2 cover letters at the most. Because when you're applying on LinkedIn, LinkedIn's not saying, please attach a cover letter, and neither is ZipRecruiter. So people just send me resumes. And half the time the people are not anywhere near qualified. I'm finding that. Half the time people are nowhere near where the job is, or they're not telling me where they live. And so if you put a cover letter in there and explained yourself a little bit, it would help me understand what you're looking for. So I have a cover letter template that I'm going to give you, and I'm going to tell you how to get it right now. And I think if you send an email to join at Absolutely Abby, you're probably going to get it. But even if you don't, just send an email to letter@absolutelyabby.com. And it's not Absolute Abby, it's Absolutely Abby. So letter@absolutelyabby.com will get you my cover letter template. And you can use it and share it and do whatever you want with it. It's helped so many people, I can't really even tell you how many, but people will send me letters and say, I've used your cover letter template and I've actually gotten interviews because of it. So please use it and share it. Okay. The next thing is I have a quote here from Charles Darwin that I think really says everything about what's going on. It's not the strongest or the most intelligent who will survive, but those who can best manage change. 2020 was the year of the change, and I, for one, went through tremendous amounts of change during the April to September when I was unemployed. I tried everything, and I'm going to tell you about some of the other things that I tried later. So being willing to change and being like, I know, like, for example, the people in the airlines that lost their jobs, going back into an airline, probably not going to happen right now. So being willing to say, you know what are my skills that I had as an airline, like a flight attendant? What are my skills? what can I do? This is a customer service job. I could easily be a waiter or waitress, customer service, and trying to figure out how to move that to leverage what you were doing in the past into something in the future. That would certainly be a good move. All right, so I want to talk about video interviewing a little bit. I'm going to tell you this, that I believe Zoom interviews in particular, they're not going anywhere. I believe recruiters, even once we are allowed to go back into offices, I believe most of us are going to choose not to. And most of us are going to decide to do Zoom interviews instead of live interviews, at least for the first round. So you really have to get good at video interviewing. You just have to. So I'm going to give you a bunch of tips for that. So one obvious one is to find a location free from kids, pets, or birds. I'll tell you about the birds. So when I was interviewing those sales reps that week, I interviewed 55 sales reps in the month of June in 1 week. And it was so good because before then, I was so not interested in doing video interviews ever. Like I had no interest. I didn't want to be on video. Now I get on video all the time. I don't care what I look like anymore. It's just, this is how it is. But back then I really cared and I didn't want to do it. So I got that practice and it was really helpful for me. But one of the things that I learned during that time is stuff about for you. So there was one guy, I remember he was sitting in his car and he told me he was there instead of in his house because he had a baby and he was worried the baby was going to wake up in the middle of the interview. So if you go into a weird place to do an interview, just let the interviewer know why you're in a weird place. So why you're not in your house. Tell them why you're in your car. It's interesting for no other reason really. And then also pets, like cats were jumping over people. This is my couch. So like if I had a cat, like cats would walk over people's couches during the interview. So you want to make sure that that doesn't happen to you. And then there was one guy who was in Florida and there were birds that were tweeting outside of his window. They were so loud, I could barely concentrate. So make sure you don't have birds tweeting outside your window. I know right now the birds are probably in Florida now, but some of you might not be from New Jersey. So I'm mentioning that. Okay, and make sure that you have good lighting. So you can look around the Zoom call and see who has better lighting than other people. You want to definitely focus on the people that have the good lighting and try to mimic what they have. The thing to do with lights is you want the light to be right in front of you and facing you and in your face. So I don't actually have the right lighting set up here because I'm lazy and I'm sitting on my couch. But if I was sitting at my desk, I have the appropriate lighting set up. But your light should be right in front of you and right, like staring at you, not on the sides of you, because then you get shadows. Okay. I hope I have something in here about fans, ceiling fans. There was one person who had a ceiling fan going literally above their head, and I could not concentrate on what they were saying because the fan was just going right above their head. So definitely shut off the fan if you have one right above your head. And I would arrive maybe like 5 minutes early to the interview to maybe check your connection to make sure you've got the right place. Most of the interviews are being done on Zoom, but there are some being done on GoToMeeting, and they don't always work as well as those Zoom ones do. We're also used to Zoom, but any other ones are a little weird. So get there probably 5 minutes early. And then you know that there are these virtual backgrounds. I'm not sure if you know that, but there are virtual backgrounds in Zoom. I would recommend that you make sure that your background is neat and clean. If you have a messy kitchen and that's the only place that you can have your Zoom call, then definitely get a virtual background to clean up your background. But if you can just have a blank wall, I think that's better than having a virtual background because when you put your arm through a virtual background, your arm disappears. So I would try to go for a nice, clean, blank wall, preferably. And then also wear the right clothes. So the thing about this is in live interviews, we always wear suits and blazers for women usually. And I would recommend that you get dressed up for your interviews, even though you're home. It really makes me feel good when someone comes to an interview with a tie on. It just does. I'm an old school recruiter, so I like people to get dressed up, regardless of what the company is that I'm interviewing for. Now, there are companies like Google. If you interview there in a tie and a suit, you will not get the job because they're going to think of you as not fitting their culture. So what I recommend is you ask the recruiter, if I wear a suit, will I be overdressed? And let them tell you. Or you can say, if I wear a tie, will I be overdressed? Whatever you were going to wear, will I be overdressed? And the recruiter will tell you. If they're at Google, they'll say, yeah, you'll be overdressed. Also, if you wear red lipstick, I know that's weird, but not the guys, but ladies, if you wear red lipstick, people will focus on your lips, and you want people to focus on what you're saying. So if you wear red lipstick, they'll focus on what you're saying more than if you don't. Another interesting way to do this is to put your resume on the screen, because if you don't do that, this is what you'll be looking at. If you are looking at your resume all the time, you'll be doing this all the time. And that doesn't look so good. But if you put it on the screen, you can be looking at your resume and they'll think you're looking at them when you're actually looking at your resume. So that's a little cheating tip. You could also take notes on your laptop. They probably won't know that you're doing it. You also want to make sure that you're looking at the camera and not the interviewer. So let's say I was looking at the interviewer. I don't know if you could see this. Now I'm looking to my right where the interviewer would be. I'm looking straight at Susan. And you can see that my eyes are not on the camera. I talk to so many people that are looking like this instead of looking like this. This is where you should be. Right now I'm staring directly into my camera and I'm probably a little high, so I probably should be more like this. This is me looking straight into the camera. That's where you should be, straight into the camera. And then yes, definitely prop up your laptop so it isn't up your nose. So this was given to me, this idea was given to me by a job seeker, and I think that's a great tip. Okay, and yeah, so study body language tips. If you go on the internet and study body language tips, you'll find all kinds of things that you should and should not do. So one thing I'll just give you as an example, you're probably not going to do this because you're sitting at home, but you shouldn't be sitting with your arms crossed during an interview because that shows that you're not open and it shows that you're resistant to change. It might show that you're angry. So that's a body language tip. Also, let's see, another one is mirroring. So if you have an interviewer that talks with their hands a lot, you should talk with your hands a lot, and that makes them feel like you're on the same page as them. Another thing about clothing I forgot to mention, if you wear a swatch of the company's logo color somewhere where they can see it, so basically top up, then they think of you as on their same team. So that's a little subconscious strategy for you. I did talk about the ceiling fans. And definitely remember to wear pants. We've seen some news reporters forgetting to wear pants. They're funny, but you don't want to do that on an interview. Okay. So keeping yourself motivated. So what happened was we started having, I used to do these things called career wake-up calls, probably every 2 weeks, and then I went to every month, and then I went to every few months. During COVID, I was literally doing them every 2 weeks from March until probably about November when I got my job back. And so I ran out of time to do them. But on these calls, we would play Ask the Audience, and I asked people, how do you keep yourself motivated during COVID? And these were some ideas that people gave me, so I'd like to share them with you. Someone said that they set and achieve one goal a day. So not 20 goals, but one. And they said sometimes the goal is a job search goal, and sometimes it's not. And then some people said that they reward themselves when they complete a project. Now, for me, I definitely do that. So what I'll do is if something I really don't want to do, I'll say to myself, if you do this thing, you get to watch a half hour of Young Sheldon. That's how I do it. Okay. Someone else said that they do their job search activities only from 9 to 1, and And then after that, they don't. They do other things. So they spend time with their family, but that's how they do it instead of working on their job search all day long. It's just a little too much sometimes. Okay. And then many people have a job search buddy. What a job search buddy is one person that is looking for the exact thing that you're looking for, or the exact opposite thing of what you're looking for. Either one of those works. If you find somebody that's looking for what you are looking for, then that's good because you're both searching for the same thing and you'll probably land faster. And then if you're looking for somebody, if you're looking with somebody that's looking for the opposite thing, then they can give you leads that have nothing to do with them. So either one is perfectly fine. Then you can also have an accountability group of maybe 2 or 3 people. And it just, you get to meet with each other every few days. The job search buddy, I would meet every day. So if you want one of the folks on this call to be your job search buddy, just write to them and let them know. Another person mentioned that every no means you're one step closer to a yes. Boy, did I learn that when I was in sales. Oh boy, there's a lot of no's when you're in sales. And that's what I did from from July until I think November. I was getting lots and lots of no's. But yes, occasionally I would get a yes. So this is a hard one to swallow, but someone mentioned it, so I thought I would throw that out there for some of you that might find that one motivating. And then the other thing is, if you're going to be on a Zoom call like this, Debbie mentioned this, I would put your information into the chat. And what I would definitely do is not just your name, but you can put your LinkedIn profile ID. And most importantly, mention what you are looking for. We don't care what you did for 25 years. It's not important right now. What we care about is what are you looking for? And more than that, we care about what companies you're looking for in particular, because let's say you put in this chat today, I want to work for Coca-Cola. Somebody here might know somebody in Coca-Cola and they could tell you that. But if you don't put it out there with names of companies, we can't help you. So definitely put names of companies and put your contact information. I see some of you are doing it now. That's great. And I would do this every time you get into a Zoom call, every time, like clockwork, just put yourself in there. You never know who's going to be in there with you that sees you and might have a lead for you. Another thing that I would absolutely recommend is to invite 5 people a day to connect on LinkedIn, but you definitely want to use some kind of personal sentence. There are people like me. I'm a recruiter, so I have a lot of LinkedIn connections. There's another person on here, at least 2 that I know, maybe 3 that have a lot of LinkedIn connections. Some of us are going to max out. There's a point at which you run out of invitations. So I have to be very picky about which ones I accept, because I need to accept people that are in the pharmaceutical industry, because that's the area that I do recruiting in. So if you don't mention in your LinkedIn invitation where you met me, I'm not going to accept it. That's just how I have to do it, because I just don't have enough room. So always mention why you want to connect and where you met the person, and then they'll probably accept it. I also told you a little while ago, there's going to be a resource guide. If you email join@absolutelyabby.com, you'll get the resource guide. And in it, you're going to see this networking note. And so I'm going to read it to you so you understand what it's all about. It says, "Dear X, it seems very strange to me for me to be writing to you today in an effort to network with you in these challenging times, but I believe that paying it forward is key. So first, is there any way that I can help you? As it turns out, I've been displaced due to COVID-19. I have lots of free time now, so if you need help, please just ask. Secondly, can you recommend someone in your network that might need to hire a blank? I would certainly appreciate any recommendations or referrals. I'll continue to keep you and your business name in my thoughts." So basically what you're doing here is you're paying it forward by saying, "I'm free, can I help you?" And they might say, "Yeah, why don't you come in and help me for a day a week?" And then if you get 5 people to do that, you have a full-time job. So this networking note is very effective if you send it to everybody in your network. So I would bet many of the people in your network especially those of you that have very large networks and you know who I'm talking about. Probably everybody doesn't know your situation. So it's time to go back to write to every single person and to say, this is what's happening. Can I help you? And see if they can help you. I have gotten so many jobs by doing this. I can't even tell you. Contracts. I'm a contract recruiter. So I need lots of little contracts to happen over the years. And I've had so many of them happen because of this exact note, except that it normally doesn't talk about COVID-19, but like some format of this type of note has gotten me so many contracts. So please use it, plagiarize, copy, share, whatever you need to do. Okay, ways to pay it forward during COVID. Number one is connect to people who can help each other. So on this call, I know these people, I have friends on this call that are big connectors, and I know they do this for a living. Every time they meet somebody, they think to themselves, who can I introduce this person to? So if you become one of those people, you will help a lot of other people. So literally every time I meet somebody, I think to myself, who do I know that this person needs to meet? And then I introduce them. So that's a great way to pay it forward to your friends and colleagues and all that. And being a good listener. So right now, there's a lot of stuff going on. People are going through a lot of heartache, including everybody on this call. And I don't know about you, but I find that I have I have three friends now that just like to call me and talk and I barely care about what's going on in my life, but they just talk and talk and talk and talk, talk. And you know what? I'm willing to just listen because they don't have anybody else that will just sit there and listen to them talk. I'm kind of like their therapist. Pick one person and be that listener for one person. It will really help them. If you have older neighbors and you can shop for them, that could help them if they can't get out, if they don't want to get out. That would be a nice thing to do. Setting up video chats for older people that don't have computers and have grandchildren and they want to see their grandchildren, that would be a nice thing to do to pay it forward. Writing LinkedIn recommendations for people can certainly help. Reviewing someone's resume or mock interviewing them, certainly a great help for a job seeker. Cooking a meal or just thanking first responders. I don't know about you, but I give lots of tips to even the delivery people. I give tips to fast food people. I'm just giving tips all over because I appreciate that they're going to work, and that way, because I don't cook, so I can't cook them a meal, but I certainly can tip them and thank them for doing what they're doing. And definitely watch the movie Pay It Forward if you can. I don't know if it's on Netflix, but find it and watch it. It's so good. It explains how if one person starts to pay it forward and everybody starts to pay it forward, we could change the world. And boy, does the world need changing right now, certainly in America. Okay. So anyway, this is another quote. Don't lose hope when the sun goes down, the stars come out. I thought that was a really good one. All these quotes are in the resource guide that you're going to get. Okay, so let me just go back 1 second. Okay, so now, Debbie, if you can find, if you could mute everybody, that would be really cool. Thank you. I can't see everybody. I can't do it. So anyway, I want to talk now about thinking out. Thank you, Debbie. Okay, so I want to talk about thinking outside the box. So back in June, I had 0 income for 2 months. And I thought outside the box and I said, I'm just gonna do this contract recruiting job. It's minimum wage. It's outside the box. I don't normally do minimum wage contract jobs at this age, but whatever. I did it. And it just sort of skyrocketed me into some other really good things that I'm doing now. And I'm going to explain it all at the end. So thinking outside the box is what 2020 was all about. And it's what 2021 is still about because we're still not back to work. So please, please, if you can find a way to think in different ways, that's really what I want you to do. I'm going to encourage you to do that. I'll just give you a couple of ideas. If I can get my slide to go, there it is. So first, I want you to think to yourself, what did it feel like the last time you were living your passion? Think about what it was like when you were a kid. Did you do something as a child? Do you remember loving your job? Go back, take your resume and look at each job that you had and think, did I love that job or did I just deal with that job? And then can you do this thing that you really love doing? Can you find a way to make it pay you money? That's what you want to do. Figure out what you really, really want to do and go for it. If you're unemployed right now, why not try it? Just why not? And then if you figure out what you want, it will show up. It takes a little bit of time, but it will eventually show up. I really believe that. So here's an example of somebody. His name is Mark Lyons. He's in Chicago, and he was really sick and tired of searching for a job. This was about 5 years ago, I think. And he decided to become a gardening coach. Now, I know you've all heard of career coaches and life coaches at this point, so you know what those are. A gardening coach is very similar, except that he goes to people's houses and helps them grow very large vegetables. And he's doing this instead of being in IT anymore because he couldn't find a job. So he started doing this, he started charging people money to do it, and now this is what his career is. So this is very much outside the box. You just have to think to yourself, what is it that you love to talk to people about, and what are you really good at talking to people about? Whatever that is. So let's just say that you're really good at helping people find new cars. Like every time someone wants to buy a car, you're the person everybody calls in your circle. Then you could be a new car buying coach. You just add the word coach to whatever it is that you're good at and that you love to do. And then you start charging for your services and you have a whole new career. There are so many new businesses that have started during COVID the same way they started during the Great Depression. Lots and lots of new businesses. And you can be one of those people. You can also become a consultant. And that's by sending that networking letter that I showed you before. You become a consultant, and by offering your services and saying yes to a lot of people, you become a consultant. This is what I've done this year that I didn't know I was even doing, but I did it. I started out having one client as my career, and that was a 40-hour week client. And you're supposed to diversify when you have clients, but I didn't do that because it was cushy and nice, and I had a great boss, and I didn't think anything was going to happen. And then COVID. So I was left with 0 clients. And now, because I diversified this summer, I have multiple clients. So I'm working on multiple things, and I've ended up getting to hire people to help me now. So telling you that thinking outside the box and diversifying and trying to get multiple streams of income, I really believe that's the thing, especially for those of us that are moving on in years. We definitely want to try to get multiple streams of income going. So if you can find some other little side business to do, then that would be a good thing. Yes, it's not too late. Some of you are thinking, it's too late for me, Abby. I'm too old. I can't do something new now. Let me show you this. Colonel Sanders. I know you've all heard of him because, you would think that he was around forever, but he got 1,009 no's from people asking them to buy his chicken. He finally got a yes, but he was 65 years old. So we didn't know Colonel Sanders until he was 65 years old. So there you go. And then Grandma Moses is my favorite one. She was an embroiderer and a candlestick maker. And I'm forgetting the number. I forgot the number. I think she was in her late 80s when she became Grandma Moses. I haven't done this presentation in a couple of months. That's what happened here. So I can't remember her age, but she was in some very old age when she became Grandma Moses. So just please don't think that you can't start something new because you're too old. Please don't say that. Please don't think it. It's not at all true. Not at all. If you decide to start your own business of any kind, you're going to make mistakes. It's just what happens. It is what it is. So I would call this failing forward fast, which means do it, don't worry about it, make mistakes, correct, and move forward. So one of the things that I decided back in, I think this was May, when I was depressed, not having a job, is I decided I wanted to become a talk show host. I've always wanted to do that. I wanted to always have a talk show, and Hollywood has never called. So I decided I'm just going to create a talk show. So I did. I started a talk show called Persistentpreneurs, and I called up people from Shark Tank, the guests of, the entrepreneurs, and I got them to appear on a show. And I had a Zoom call with like 80 people on it for the first one. And it was so much fun being a talk show host. I did it 5 times and then I gave up. And then I decided that I better get looking for a new job. So I gave that up. But I tried. But one of the mistakes that I made is one time I did a video sideways. So I literally was like sideways talking to people. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So I had to laugh. I'm telling you, if you're going to start something new, you're going to make mistakes. Laugh at yourself, move forward. No biggie. All right, so closing thoughts. Number 1 is everyone's stress level is high, so please, please be forgiving. Please. And as of yesterday, stress level went even higher, right? Be forgiving. Network like crazy using Zoom. Talked about that a bunch. Take a class, learn a language, reconnect with friends. And then only watch or listen to the news for 10 minutes a day. I don't know about you, but I've managed to avoid COVID news for months now. It's too depressing. So I can't watch it. I can't function. It's too depressing. So I managed to keep the news off all this time until yesterday when the news sucked me right back in. I was sucked in for about 3 hours. And today I didn't turn on the news. I'm not planning on turning on the news anymore. It's just, you gotta not watch the news. The news is depressing. The news is always negative. They don't mention happy things. They don't tell us about all the great patients that came out of the hospitals. No, they tell us about the death tolls. Don't watch the news. And then definitely help your fellow neighbor and watch Pay It Forward. And we will get through this together. We're so close with the vaccine. We are so close. So I want to give you my top 10 list, and this is mine. You have another one of these, I'm sure. So my first one is I'm alive. So we can't take this for granted anymore. We used to a little bit, but no, not since COVID. Can't take that one for granted. I'm healthy, another one we take for granted all the time. I have supportive family. I have wonderful friends. I have an awesome business partner. I have meals to eat. I have a place to live. I own a car. I get to spend time with animals, and I'm recreating my career every day. That's my top 10 list. You should make your top 10 list, and I would read it every night before you go to sleep and every morning when you wake up. And that should put you in the right frame of mood, right frame of mind to search for a job. My last quote is this: whatever you have, your skills, your love, your joy, your ingenuity, your ability to do things, please show it now. Do not try to save it for another lifetime. Okay, so I mentioned this a couple of times. Some people came in after we started. If you email join@absolutelyabby.com, it's going to give you our 28-page resource guide that talks all about the COVID job search. You will find that very helpful. And I think in that email, you'll also find a link to one of our career wake-up calls. And what will happen is I'll invite you to our next career wake-up call, which is going to be sometime in the next couple of weeks. On those calls, I answer questions for an entire hour, and we're going to be rolling out something really exciting in the next couple of weeks. So you're going to definitely want to be on the next career wake-up call because it's going to help you make money. This is going to happen probably in the next couple of weeks. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, excuse me, let me just have a little water. So I have to tell you about this because the other thing that I did, I was selling the masks and gloves, and that wasn't working out. And I had somebody reach out to me on LinkedIn because I had mentioned it on LinkedIn. And he said, I was wondering if you would like to sell COVID-19 rapid antigen tests. And I said, absolutely not. I would rather not sell anything. But if you would like me to, I would be happy to do some recruiting for you and hire sales reps to sell the rapid antigen tests. And he said, great. So I signed up to help him recruit people. And so far we've had about, I don't know, like 100 people sign up to do this. And they're making some good money. One of them got a check for $2,000 last week. And I'm not kidding. This is literally what's happening. The person who got a check for $2,000 had 0 sales experience. So I want to tell you about this because this is really important. Okay. This was an author. This is a person that heard me speak somewhere and heard me talk about this opportunity. She reached out to me. Her name is Carla. She lives in Boston. She reached out to me and she said, I really want to do this because I want to do something that I can give back. I want to help people that are suffering from COVID, and I really want to do this. And I said, Carla, you've been an author. That's great. You've been a writer. All you've done is writing. You have never done any sales, right? And she said, no, I've never done sales. I said, Carla, sales is really hard. Well, how did I know this? Because I did it. I did sales in June, July, August, September. I said, Carla, this is really not something you want to do. I can try to convince her for about 20 minutes that this was not something she wanted to do. And then I gave up and I said, all right, fine. I'm going to give your name to the hiring manager and we'll see how you do. She is our #1 sales rep right now. She just had $2,000 check last week and she's getting another one next week. This is what I'm telling you. If you guys want to try this, I need you to send me an email because we had a call about 2 days ago on Monday or something about the opportunity. And I had 50 people on that call. And no, I didn't. No, I'm lying. I had 30 people on that call and 27 of those people said, sign me up. Okay. So we signed up 27 people. You do not have to have sales experience. The one thing you have to do is you have to be willing to make phone calls. There are no leads. You have to call your doctors. You have to call your urgent care centers. You have to call your nursing homes in your area and just ask them if they want to buy these tests. I'm telling you, they do want to buy these tests. They're hot. It's a hot commodity right now. It's a great opportunity. So if you want to do this, just send an email. This is the email though. I've given you a lot of email addresses. This one is really important. Okay, because this one goes right to me. The other ones I don't see all the time. Another thing I want to give you is a website, and it is staffingsymphony.com. Symphony is spelled like the orchestra. staffingsymphony.com. That is my website. There are a bunch of jobs listed up there. You should go there, set up alerts on there, check back all the time. There are new jobs going up there every day. There are 1,500 jobs up there right now. They're not my jobs to fill, but I'm advertising them on my website. So go check them out. You might find something there for you. And that is all. So Debbie, I think we're ready to take some questions.
Okay, I'm going to start with unmuting everybody. And if
Wait,
you
wait.
could, no,
How about
don't do it that way.
no.
Okay, so
Leave
there's one question in chat. If you could put your questions in chat, that's fine.
Yeah, or you can unmute yourself. You can just unmute yourself and then just ask the question, or you can put it in chat.
Okay, so if people could put it in chat, that's the best way. There is one chat in there about something very early on. Hold on.
I'm gonna look now.
It's at the very top.
Okay.
Oh, okay, let's see.
Can you do more than one
can you do
title
more
in
than
the
one
search
title in
box
that
for
search
Indeed?
box? Yes, you can, but I wouldn't. I would do separate alerts, set them up separately. I think you'll get more results if you do separate searches. Thank you for that question.
And I think Robin actually asked a question. If we can unmute her. Oh, here, let's see. Nope, that's not it.
I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Robin.
Hi, good afternoon, Abby. Yeah,
Good afternoon.
when you work on that advanced function and you put in, like for me, if I put in Vice President of Human Resources in quotes,
Yeah.
usually Boolean will take it in that order. that way. And so sometimes the job titles will say human resources vice president or director of human resources director.
Yeah.
Will you need to actually ideally make one for each of those possible combinations?
Yeah. So when I was looking for my job, I was putting in, not this year, I wasn't looking for this year, but like in the past, using Indeed, I would put in recruiter, recruiting manager, director of recruiting, director of talent acquisition manager, talent acquisition specialist, recruiting specialist. You get the idea?
I do.
And I would do separate searches and have separate, because then every day you get like 6 different emails with different opportunities,
Right.
different titles. Yes, 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 yes.
Does it work the same as if you go into, you said post your, interesting, I've used a recruiter, but I didn't know you could post resumes there. Do they
Yeah.
have a similar search function, and would it work the same way?
Yeah, they have the same, but they don't hide their advanced search. I don't know why Indeed hides their advanced search. It makes no
Clicks.
sense,
It's money.
I guess, but like, it's annoying, right? Because none of you knew about it.
Right.
I found it by accident someday. I was just noticing it was there and I clicked on it. And then I was like, oh my God, all this cool stuff, all these empty boxes that we could use. And yeah, it's great.
Right. And while I have everybody on the line, I'm probably a little bit of an outlier. I'm actually in Dallas, Texas, so I'm not in the New Jersey area. I happen to be in HR. I'll offer it to this group. If anybody wants to connect with me and actually have me look and do a quick resume review for you, since that's my wheelhouse. I hired, well, I'm trying to get myself hired right now, but I hire people for a living. So if anybody wants any input, I'd be happy to offer it to this group.
Robin, do you know Foster Williams yet?
I do not.
Okay, write that name down and connect with him and tell him I'm a friend of Abby's. He calls me his sister.
Okay.
So I'm his brother. I call him my brother. He's my brother. So tell him your sister Abby told me to reach out to you. He's going to hook you up down in Dallas. He's got a big HR group that you can join in Dallas. They meet every Tuesday.
Wonderful. Well, thank you.
Sure.
And again, everybody, I put out my LinkedIn there. And my email is real easy. You see my name. It's robinfittis@gmail.com. Happy to help.
You see how everybody did that? You see how Robin paid it forward? If every single person on this call paid it forward, then if one other person that you paid it forward to paid it forward, that's what happened in the movie. That's exactly what happened. And the whole world changed because of one person starting to pay it forward.
I put in the box in chat how to watch the movie, which includes Amazon and
Thank you.
iTunes and all that stuff. And also, I think I put in Grandma Moses' age because she was 78.
That's what it was. I knew it was up there. I didn't remember what it was though. Thank you.
Well, when you do a program at a library, you can expect to get answers to your questions.
Thank you. I know. You know how many times I did this presentation between June and now?
A lot.
But then I stopped. Yeah, but in November I started working again. So I haven't done it since November. So I was like, what am I supposed to talk about today?
You did a great job, really great job.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask at this time?
Just remember that I'm going to have a career wake-up call sometime in the next couple of weeks, and you'll hear other people's questions, plus you can have your own questions answered. Andrew Siclari, do you know about FENG, F-E-N-G? Wherever you are, I can't see.
Yeah, hi, I am a member of FANG, so thank you very much.
Okay, good. All right,
That's
just
a
making
good
sure.
reference. Appreciate that.
Sure, I'm looking for other people. Everybody needs to know Brian Mecca. Everybody needs to connect to Brian Mecca. He's a great networker. He's a pay it forward kind of guy. Marty Latman, I heard, was on here, but I don't see him. Is he still here?
What was Brian's name again, Abby? You broke up.
Mecca, M-E-C-C-A. Everyone needs to know Brian.
Thanks, Abby. I did post my information in the chat window.
Yeah, you all need to know Brian. All connect with Brian. And everybody else I don't know. So a lot of you guys are new. And Carol, of course. Everyone should connect with Carol.
I'm connected with Carol, right, Carol?
Carol and I met in 2006. That's how long I've known Carol. Yep. Carol's a great networker.
That's how long I've known Abby as well, since 2006.
The Breakfast Club, right?
when we used to have breakfast.
That's right. Mhm. The Breakfast Club that used to have breakfast, exactly.
If you have any more questions, you can put them in chat. And I don't want to keep Abby on here too long because she's got lots of work to do hiring people. We don't want to stop her from that.
I do.
But I will I will stay on in Zoom for about 10 minutes if people want to individually talk about who they are and what they do. And I'm giving everybody one more chance to ask Abby questions. 1, 2, 3. I heard somebody else do that much more graciously. Okay, and I'm going to stop recording.
Okay.